when you think about American volleyball, we oftentimes don't think of it as competitive as European leagues or Japanese leagues or the Korean league, just because the style of play and the rules are so different. But having Olympians in this league and my own teammates just really ups the intensity level, and also former Olympians and former national team players from other countries. Like we have some Italians who competed on their national teams. We have some Dutch girls who have competed on their national teams. So there's just a really high level of competitive athletes in this league, as well as this excitement of just getting to play with your friends, and also the entertainment factor. I'm so excited to talk smack, like just through the net. Like I'm gonna hit a ball down the line thinking I crushed it on the slide, and she's gonna dig it up, and it's gonna drive me crazy. But I love that. I love that it'll be that competitive, kind of friendly, kind of give and take. There'll be a lot of smack talking for sure.
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Welcome to the Leave It Better podcast. Today, my guest is Haleigh Washington, one of my favorite players to watch play. Little background on Haleigh. Haleigh started her volleyball career in Colorado High School Club. And when she left the high school ranks, she was ranked number 1 in her recruiting class. Way to go, Haleigh. And then Russ Rose picks you up and you play there for 4 years, helping them win their 7th national championship. So you're an NCAA champion. Through those college years, you were also Big Ten Freshman of the Year. You were also Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. You played 6 years in the Italian League?
Yes, 6 full seasons. 5 different clubs moving around.
5 different clubs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you played in the Italian Series A1 for 5 different programs there. And you were a part of the 2020 gold medal Olympic team, which was outstanding. And I think during that you won Best Blocker Award for that tournament. This year, the 2024 Olympics, we earned a silver medal, and you were a part of that team. And I watched every match many times on recording, and I thought it was an amazing accomplishment. And that Italian team, for goodness sakes, was not going to lose to anyone.
Yes, they had an outstanding run. They had a really great summer.
They were just, on fire, I guess. And so, Haleigh, with the national team, I think you got 7 medals, 4 gold and 3 silver. And what an accomplishment. You are such a fun player for people to watch. You take your craft and your sport very seriously. And I absolutely love watching you compete and play. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So good to be here. Wow. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So how are you?
I'm good. We just finished our first block of training for preseason out here with Salt Lake Love. We're now going into our Thanksgiving break. So it's about 5 days off. Feeling good, getting my legs back under me for the first time in my professional career after this last Olympics. I had 3 months off, and I did everything I possibly could in those 3 months. I was traveling all over the place, seeing friends, taking vacations. And so now it's kind of getting my body back into volleyball shape after really never having done that before. So it's been fun. Yeah. It's been challenging, but I'm good. I'm in a good space. Super excited for this season.
You don't get many breaks like that in what you've been doing with your volleyball career. That's for sure.
Definitely not. Just constant year-round volleyball.
Yeah. I was, my question was, so what'd you do to celebrate your accomplishments? And where did you go? Do you mind sharing any of those things? I asked Jordan Larson, and she didn't even get to go anywhere.
She had to go right back to Nebraska.
I know.
No, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off post-Olympics. So immediately after the medal ceremony and closing ceremonies, I was with my family. So during closing ceremonies, I opted not to walk in the stadium. I just wanted to be with my family because they weren't there for Tokyo and they got to be there for Paris. So we just hung out in Team USA house.
Very fun.
Yes, it was nice. I essentially just cried all night. I went to Team USA house, sobbed with my family all night. There's loads of photos of me just basically in tears while my family's around me while we watch closing ceremonies together. So really great emotional release.
Yeah. What was that emotional release about?
So many things. I think one, just relishing in my entire family being present for this really powerful moment. They obviously didn't get to go to Tokyo because of the pandemic. And it's not the same calling your parents after you win the USA's first gold medal. It's not the same as them actually being there. So getting to just kind of relish in that. And so there was just that gratitude, I guess, that my family was there, that they got to watch this experience. We got to share this moment in Paris. And then there's obviously just that release of emotions. And I remembered it the same in Tokyo. After that last ball falls, there's just this release, all of it's like every muscle in your body has been tensed for so long and you finally let go and just relax. And so there's that release of, okay, that past quad of hard work, that work is done. All the mindset struggles, that mental health struggle that you went through, physical struggles, injury that you pushed through, all this stuff and adversity that you've overcome, it's done. Put it down. It's done. Finished. You've reached the finish line. And so definitely that just feeling of release was, it was part of the emotional outburst.
Sure. Yeah. We think we can understand what that's like to push yourself in all those buckets of physical, mental, just everything to get and to perform like you guys have. It's just really, it's outside of my ability to truly understand, I think.
Well, for sure. In the context of Olympics, absolutely. But I mean, there are women who go through childbirth or you're working really hard and you get the promotion that you want. There are different avenues and perspectives of what it is to reach the mountaintop. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it's just different. It's not any worse or any better, just different perspectives and experiences.
Yeah. You're training with Salt Lake. Talk to us a little bit about what that's all entailing right now. You had a little time off, so now you're getting back in, and now we're getting a little break for Turkey Day, but that's wonderful, right?
Yeah, excited to have my first Thanksgiving in America with my family in 11 years. I was doing the math.
Oh my God.
Crazy. I was doing the math with our head coach because 4 years of college, obviously, didn't get to go home for Thanksgiving because it's still middle of season. So 4 years of college, no family Thanksgiving. And then 6, 7 seasons in Italy where we're in the middle of season. So I haven't been able to be home. Luckily, I have been blessed with my sister coming out every year that I was in Italy, and we've done a Thanksgiving dinner for my team. So this will be the first Thanksgiving that we're just cooking for 5 people and not for 18 people for the team. So it'll be exciting, but training's going really well. We're finding kind of a new dynamic. We have a good mix of veteran players on this team and younger players, girls that maybe only got 1 or 2 seasons overseas. And we're slowly starting to play volleyball because you get a new group of girls together and you're learning how to communicate off the ball. You're learning what a block timing you have for different pins, where your middle's tendencies are when they're hitting. And so it's just this kind of new learning process. And it's my favorite environment to be in. I love being in this new space where I get to just be a learner and absorb and do what I can to play the best volleyball that I'm capable of.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I think one of the things about the Love League is that there's a lot of USA Olympic team members there. Now, how much fun is that to have folks that you've spent so much time and such intense time together, to have them on your team, but also competing against them?
Yeah, I'm really excited. One, because it just makes the competitive level of the league that much more intense. I think American volleyball gets a pretty bad rap because NCAA volleyball is a completely different game than most international volleyball. So when you think about American volleyball, we oftentimes don't think of it as competitive as European leagues or Japanese leagues or the Korean league, just because the style of play and the rules are so different. But having Olympians in this league and my own teammates just really ups the intensity level. And also former Olympians and former national team players from other countries. Like we have some Italians who competed on their national teams. We have some Dutch girls who have competed on their national teams. So there's just a really high level of competitive athletes in this league, as well as this excitement of just getting to play with your friends, and also the entertainment factor. I'm so excited to talk smack, like just through the net. Like I'm gonna hit a ball down the line thinking I crushed it on the slide, and she's gonna dig it up. And it's going to drive me crazy, but I love that. I love that it'll be that competitive, kind of friendly kind of give and take. There'll be a lot of smack talking for sure.
And that's what I love watching you play, is that you're so authentic in all of your, who you are is who you are. And it's great to have just such an example of somebody having a ton of fun, working on a craft and being so good at it, but having a ton of fun in the process. And you really, I think I was trying to give you this thing. I kind of feel like you're a volleyball magnet in terms of wanting to watch the game, because you make it really entertaining.
I hope so. Come out, watch the games, watch the matches. I will be extra loud and obnoxious if you come out and watch the games.
You're considered a founding athlete of League One volleyball. So can we tell our folks that are listening, what's that mean?
Yeah. So there's a core group of us athletes who were with League One from the beginning. And I was one of the athletes that was there from the very, very, very start, when it was just a Zoom call. And I had been approached by other leagues and companies and entrepreneurs that were kind of smelling in the air that like, oh, volleyball is a big market. Volleyball could be the next big thing. And so I had a couple conversations. Like I had a conversation with the founders of AU. I had a conversation with another gentleman who wanted to do almost like an all-star kind of league here in the States. And all of them presented these ideas for a league, and none of them really like clicked with me. And so when I was approached by Love about this new league, I was very skeptical. I was like, okay, another American businessman or businesswoman with this idea for volleyball, and they're going to revolutionize the game. I was skeptical. But when they presented their idea for this league, this kind of grassroots campaign, this community focused, community based organization that also featured a professional league, I was really intrigued, because I loved this idea of incorporating youth sports into the professional sphere. Because I think that internationally, they already kind of do that. Like the club that I recently played for, Savino del Bene, they have like a B team and like a younger team, and those girls can come and like watch practice and they're involved, but not to the point that League One is really doing it, that Love is doing it with these camps, this outreach. But I digress. Basically, being a founding athlete was just being there from the start and providing feedback. And so they'd ask questions about like, what kind of court should we have? Should we just do sports court? Should we do Terraflex? Or these are the ideas that we're pumping out for community outreach. And we were kind of just a sounding board as players for how the league should function. And they would bounce ideas off of us and we would listen. And it's been such a pleasure, and honestly, a really beautiful story, kind of watching League One grow as my Olympic dreams also continued to grow, because I had set this goal for myself that I was going to go to the Paris Olympics when I first joined Team USA. And around that same time, League One had approached me. And so I'm watching these two kind of dreams like blossom together in tandem. And we went from having backyard barbecues with just some of the founding members of the administration to this big blowout in Huntington Beach where we have hundreds of people in attendance, and just watching the growth of the league from this like inkling of an idea has been so spectacular. And it's the same thing of like watching this idea of wanting to be an Olympian expound into becoming a 2-time Olympic medalist. Like it's just been a very powerful parallel between the two, and been such an honor to be a part of the journey.
Yeah. They did really, they were smart to come to you all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful to be able to be in that position. So let's talk about the opening of this, where this is going to be coming up in January. What is it? Salt Lake is going to play Love Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a very unique setup because oftentimes you think of pro leagues and it's like traditional, like Salt Lake is going to Atlanta and Salt Lake and Atlanta are playing each other and that's it. But because we only have so many teams, if we waited all the time for each team to kind of cycle, there'd just be too much space in between matches. And that just puts a lot of strain on the athletes when it comes to traveling because we're scattered around the United States. This isn't like an Italy where some of our games are a 3-hour drive. Like if I tried to drive from Salt Lake to Atlanta, it would be a lot longer than 3 hours.
Ouch.
Yeah. So just having the other opportunity when you're going head to head with someone, the other 4 teams playing just provides that competition to kind of stay there, to stay fresh. You get to play the teams more often, so you get to develop more thorough scouting reports, which is exciting. And it provides more opportunities for crowds to come and see these teams in different spaces. So it's not just Salt Lake, Atlanta, Houston, Omaha, Madison, like just those communities come out. It kind of provides communities all around the United States to come and watch just really good competitive volleyball.
Mm-hmm. Give me an example of one of the, do you know one of the places that's outside of the host area?
I do, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, this is secret stuff. Okay.
I apologize. It might not be. It might have already been posted. I don't know. I don't want to get yelled at for saying something.
Heaven forbid. I don't want you to be a part of that. So the explosion of volleyball, you think about 2014, you were starting in your college days, and now we're in 2024.
Thank you.
Nearly 25.
Thanks.
What does this feel like and look like to you when you're just going, holy crap, this is a lot that's happening?
Well, I mean, I just think in the past, first of all, I think volleyball has always been a popular sport. If you look in the volleyball world, the volleyball community is a tight knit community, and there's always been people that have been passionate about it. This is going to sound a little soapboxy, so excuse me while I take out my mini soapbox. It's just that volleyball is a predominantly female sport, and we live in a society that consumes predominantly masculine sporting entertainment. We like football, we like hockey, we like basketball. For a really long time, we wanted to see the grittiest, strongest, gnarliest men compete. And so volleyball just kind of fell to the wayside. Volleyball ended up being this sport that, you played if you were kind of the girly girl and wanted to go around in spandex. And that was the norm that society thought of. But really, if you were in the volleyball world, it was just as gritty. It was just as gnarly. You had girls flying around, diving for balls, breaking their chins open, biting through their it's a gnarly game. And I just think that it's kind of gotten this bad rap. But as time has gone on and we get more, I don't want to say viewership, but just more eyes on volleyball, we really see how popular it is. The outdoor game that Nebraska hosted last year that drew 90,000 viewers, and the NCAA tournament is pumping out more and more viewers. People are getting excited about it. ESPN is giving more slots to women's volleyball here in the States. And I mean, it's the largest female youth sport in America with some 44 million participants. The audience is there. People are excited, and it's just now reaching this space of people being oh, this is actually a really cool sport. I'm that's what we've been trying to tell you.
The level, the growth of the female athlete, has been pretty significant. You see it a lot in the Olympics where records are getting broken all the time.
Smashed.
Yeah. And looking at a couple of coaches that you had, your college coach, Russ Rose, and then Coach Karai, and a lot of assistant coaches in there too. But what I found is some things that you talked about, what Russ Rose taught you about maybe volleyball, how to be tough like you were and are, and then to see past college.
I think Russ is what was one of the most foundational coaches for me and just kind of my beliefs. I don't always think I was the perfect archetype for the Penn State player. Like when I think of the Penn State player, my mind immediately goes to Lacey Fuller. She was a defensive specialist who was, I think, a senior when I was a freshman and was just everything that Russ Rose wanted in an athlete. Just constantly grinding, never tired, throwing her body all over the place, sacrificing herself for every play. Like that was the type of, and I was this knock-kneed, tentative little athlete that would that was when she was tired, was like, I'm tired, and like to complain. And like that was just, and so I had to kind of develop that Penn State mentality. And I was never developed to the point of Lacey Fuller's level. I think some people are just born that way, and I don't think I could ever be that way. But you learn to be gritty. And in the time of that mindset of the Spartan athlete of blood, sweat, tears, break yourself down to build you up into a champion, that's what Russ was really all about. And I think a lot of quote unquote old school coaches were really about that mentality of just grinding you down and then refining you into this diamond of a player. But my favorite things about Russ that he really kind of instilled in me were twofold. One is this idea that good coaches don't just make good players, they make great people. And I think the Penn State program turned me into an outstanding, not that I think I'm an outstanding person, but I think I'm a pretty good person because of
I'm going to say you are an outstanding person. So we'll just go with that.
Maybe I'll be outstanding outside after this because I'll be so embarrassed by the things I said. Boo, terrible joke. I'm sorry. No, but I think Russ turns you into a good person. His program made you into a good person as well as a good player. And sports tend to do that. I mean, something like 90% of the CEOs in Fortune 500, female CEOs in Fortune 500 companies played sports. And so it's like sports.
Wow, okay.
So I don't know if that's the actual statistic. Please fact check that.
Okay.
But he made me a good person. And then the other big lesson that he taught me was, pardon me, I'm going to say was never half-ass something, always give something 110%. When I was first considering going overseas, my idea was I would go for 2 years and save up all of my money and then come back and do the grad school thing and either become an academic, like a professor of philosophy, or I'd become a librarian. And I really wanted to be a librarian for the Library of Congress. That was like the dream, still kind of is the dream.
Okay. I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, that's like the 15, 20 year, 30 year down the road. That would be amazing. But I was telling Russ this was my plan. I was like, I think I'll go play overseas for like 2 years, save some money up, and then come back. And he was like, if you are going to go overseas, he's like, you need to commit to the journey and the process that going overseas is going to be. He's like, you're not just going to go over there and be this star player. He's like, you need to prove yourself. You need to work your way up a ladder. You need to develop your skills and refine. And he's like, and that's going to take more than 2 years. So he's like, if you're going to go overseas, commit to being a professional athlete and going overseas. And I remember at the time being so annoyed because I was like, I don't want to do. I want to do my plan. My plan sounds, but I'm so glad that he said that because he was absolutely right. It was a process, me working my way up in the Italian league. It was a process working my way up through the ranks of the national team. And I just think having that mindset of how can I just get better in this space instead of like, okay, I need to hurry up so I can go back to grad school. Like it just allowed me to be 100% focused on this one thing, give my all to this one thing. And so those were just two of the biggest lessons that Russ taught me. There's so many more that I learned at my time at Penn State, but those are the two big ones.
Yeah. You had also mentioned something about, hey, listen, you're going to have a target on your back all the time. You're at Penn State, so you better just get ready. And so preparation is the key. And I think your Karsh Karai used this one on you guys. He said, we're tired. We're being pushed. No one cares.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one. So how, I know it's tough. I mean, you're training hard. Lots of things are going on. And you're in there with your teammates. And when things kind of get like, wow, this is challenging. What were you guys doing with and for each other? How'd you manage all that?
One, I think that you can never underestimate the power of a gripe session. I think oftentimes we kind of shame ourselves. We're like, we really just need to push through. Like, don't focus on the negative, be positive. And there are times for that. If it's 15-15 and you just missed your serve versus China, don't focus on the negative. Let's go to the next thing. But if you're in the middle of like a tough training block or a tough Olympics, like we just went through, that Paris Olympics was a grizzly bear of a tournament. When you're in those moments, sometimes you need that space with your people, with the people that you value and trust and can lean on, and just gripe, just complain, just express, God, my knees hurt so bad, or I'm so tired, or I'm feeling so frustrated about X, Y, Z. And to have those negative emotions validated is so powerful. And it's even more powerful when you have a good group of friends that aren't then trying to solve the problem. When you just have a group that's like, yeah, that sucks. It's just like what I'm going through, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. Because it's this feeling of camaraderie. It's this feeling of I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. I'm not in the muck by myself. Like I get this image of like a World War I soldier in the trenches, and like there's artillery fire coming. There's smoke. It's crazy. And he's all alone. He's in these trenches with just his rifle and he's all alone. And I think how scary that must have been to be alone, but how much more powerful it was if you were to look left and right and see that there were people that were in the trenches with him. And so I think that's the power of the gripe set, just this reminder that we are in the trenches together. And then beyond that, it's focusing on this idea of when it's go time, when the lights come up, when the whistle is blown, when the ball is live, nothing else matters. We're here to play volleyball and we're here to do the best that we can. It's not always to win. Sometimes you just know that you're going into a match and it's going to be a battle. And so the expectations are low. Your hope can be high, but the expectations are low and you're just battling with the person to your left and to your right. And that's, I think, what really matters is knowing that you're in it together. Everything else is pushed to the side and we're fighting from the first whistle to the last.
I thought that this year's Olympic team demonstrated that quite often, and it was a grizzly of a tournament. I mean, it was you guys pulled through so much there to be able to get. Yeah, I mean, I was so proud of you for that medal round, and just
I think thought there was so much on the court, like opposition wise. Like we had a tough opening match versus China. I actually just rewatched that last night.
Oh, you did?
What a battle. And like to lose in the fifth set, 15-13, like I think about it, like not watching the video, and I think about it and I was like, wow, that was a terrible game. Like we really played, but it was a battle. I was like, wow, that wasn't as like massacre-y as I remember it in my mind. And so like we really did battle. Like, so it was not just this opposition on the other side of the net. It was also, we're battling with team culture, which is just a regular thing that you deal with at high levels. So we're fighting team culture, we're fighting dynamics, we're fighting communication, just regular things that you go through when you're competing at the high level. And then you have just physical stuff, injury, people's mental health. And there were so many battles in this Olympics that a couple of my teammates and I had this idea of like, we got this gold medal and the motto was despite everything else, despite who was on the other side of the net, despite the injury, despite the mental battle, whatever, despite it all, when it came down to it, we locked arms and we got down to business. And I'm really so immensely proud of this group of girls because it was no easy feat.
No. Yeah. I was so impressed and so proud and will always be of that performance for sure. So you're playing in the pro league here in the States. Will this be where you are? Stay here? Will there be any more overseas participation from you, Haleigh? Like
that is a lovely question. This year, for the 2024-2025 season, I can answer very confidently, no overseas.
No overseas. Okay.
Season kind of, as time evolves and we see what it's like to maybe have a summer off, not do national team for a summer. And we have to be in talks with League One, obviously, of if I were to go overseas, it would most likely be for a half season type of deal. I would love to go back to Italy and just do a little half season on maybe not a super high ranked team. Like I have had a lovely career. I've had a really blessed career. I've competed against some of the best athletes, best volleyball players, best teams in the world. And as I am in this part of my career, I'm not really chomping at the bit to be traveling from Germany and then back and then a bus ride and then have a game. And then like my body's just not really jonesing to do that. But to go play for like a Trentino or like a Firenze, like a team that's competing still in these really high leagues, but maybe isn't trying to come out on top and win, like to just help them get to a good enough spot for playoffs and then come back to league. I think that might be what we're looking at. I don't know. That's like, that would be the dream, but life, man plans, God laughs. So we'll see what happens. I'm just keeping an open mind.
If you could turn back time, what would you want to do differently? If you could turn back time, is there anything that you would want to do differently?
There's no real easy answer. Obviously, the cop-out answer would be like, oh, nothing, because I am who I am because of the places that I've been. Like, that's the easy cop-out answer. I think if I could turn back time, I would – no, because not even that. I was going to say I would want to play in different countries. It would have been amazing to have gotten some time in Japan, to play in Brazil, to go to Turkey. But I'm so grateful for my years in Italy. I had a lot of great seasons. I made a lot of good friends. I learned to pick up the language. I learned Italian culture. Like I really immersed myself over there. And so I'm so grateful for that. So as cool as it would have been to play on a Rio team or to play in the Japanese league, like I'm so grateful for my Italian league. And then I think about my time at Penn State and how hard that was on me and just mentally really struggling, trying to figure out my identity and who I was, not just on the court, but off the court. And I think, well, maybe I should have transferred and gone to like a Arizona, like a party school and just cut loose. But I think Penn State gave me my discipline and my like hunger to always be better and to want more and to hold myself to a high standard. So I don't think I do have one. I lied. If I could go back in time, I would strengthen my ankles and not wear ankle braces. I have terrible ankles from 17 years of being in ankle braces, and I wish I would have just strengthened them from an early age instead of relying on a brace.
That's going to be a really good thing for high school and club players to hear.
I mean, some clubs require ankle protection, and I get it. It's safety. Like you don't want to have your kids rolling their ankles, but I don't know. When like if you're just having a serve pass day or while your kids are passing, like just let them naturally strengthen their ankles so that they don't rely on them forever.
That's really funny. That's really good. What's the best advice you could give for middle blockers?
Oh, for middle blockers. Okay.
Yes.
That changed my answer. It's the best advice that I've ever received. It was from Lucarelli, I believe is his name, from it can't be Lucarelli. Maybe it's Lucas. It's an L name from the Brazil men's national team. One of the best middle blockers in the world. I should really know this off the top of my head. But I talked to him. Look it up. Yeah. Just have your people Google it and like soundbite the name over what I say. No, but I approached him because we were doing our international trip for college to Brazil, and we were at the Brazil's Olympic Training Center. And he was in the cafeteria, and Russ said, you need to go ask that man the best advice for middle blockers. And I was like, oh,
he did. Cool.
Yeah, Russ told me to do it. So I was like, okay, you got it. Yes, sir. I'm on my way. Walked over. I'm expecting to hear some profound advice about like mentally keep yourself, like just something so deep, life-changing. And instead he goes, learn to read. I was like, learn to read? That's so boring. He's like, no. He's like, learn to read the game. He's like, know where the setter's setting before the ball is even going. Know what's going to happen 3 plays before. If you see that you're passing outside, just hit the ground. You know for a fact there's no pipe on and the middle's out, just go. He's like, read the game. Become a student of the – he didn't even say become a student of the game. He literally just said read. And it's so boring, and it's the worst skill to refine because it involves no stuff blocks. It doesn't involve bouncing the ball. Like none of the glory that comes from volleyball is involved in this skill, but it's so powerful. If you can learn to be a middle blocker that's just patient and in your space and sees the game before it happens and then reacts quickly, that just you will become an outstanding middle and one of the most difficult to defend against. I think right now Sarah Farr for Imoco Conegliano is one of the best read blockers I've ever seen. She's got a really good eye for the game.
Okay, so besides you, who's the best middle blocker you've played against?
Oof, there's a long list. I wouldn't even argue that I'm one of the best middle blockers. I think I'm a very good, consistent player. I get positive touches. I'm pretty efficient off of 1 foot, but there are some unstoppable middle blockers. I think Sarah Farr, like I mentioned, Anna
Yeah.
Danese is incredible. Carol is really good. Thaisa, she's from Brazil. She's been a legend. She's just an outstanding athlete. I think Yuan, I don't want to say her name wrong. Yuan from the Chinese national team, number one, the songbird, as people call her. She is unbelievable. She's really good. She's just all girls that doesn't even have to move, but it's also still so quick. She's really, really good. And then obviously Feluca Akinradawo was a stud. Krista Harmato, an absolute legend. Chiaka is just one of the most amazing blockers that I've ever. I don't know how she gets to be so strong for so long. She's like in the air and like just a brick wall, putting people in phone booths. Like there's so many talented middles out there that I just can't believe that I'm even a part of that group. Like I look at them and I'm like, well, you guys go. Good job. Can't do that. Can't do half what you guys are doing. Good work.
Good work. So the best setter you've played against that where it was like, oh my God, hard to read, hard to know.
Yeah, Wolosz. I think Joanna Wolosz from the Polish national team. She also is a setter for Moko Conegliano. She is just an outstanding setter. She has a great understanding of the game, a good game IQ. She's really good at kind of making blocking schemes fall apart. So she'll see the patterns that your team might be trying to pull and she'll just pick it apart and eventually leave it crumbling. So she's just an outstanding setter, really good at incorporating all routes that are on, finding her hitters, making crazy save plays. She's just a very physical, very intelligent player.
Yeah. She played for the Polish national team.
The Polish national team, and then for the past, I want to say 11,000 years, has been at Moko.
Okay. So if a young player wants to have the kind of success that you have had in your volleyball career, what advice would you give them if they're wanting to have what you have?
Yeah, I think one piece of advice is to immerse yourself in the game. I think watching the game is a really powerful tool, getting to see what other athletes are doing, getting to see what other people, like if you see an athlete and you're like, oh, I can't do that. Don't think of it as I'll never be able to do that. Think of it as, oh, I can't do that yet. So watch those athletes, learn those skills, put hours into the gym, I think is my basic advice. But my most prominent advice that I want to instill in any athlete, if you want to compete at the Olympic level, if you want to compete and be NCAA champion, if you want to win Olympic, you have to love what you're doing, because majority of the time you're going to hate what you're doing, because when you're training to be the best, and I wasn't even training to be the best, I was just trying to be the best version of myself. I never had aspirations of being an Olympian. I never thought I was good enough. I just wanted to be a learner and to absorb and to grow. And everything that came from my career was just a byproduct of this desire to be the best that I could be. But in doing that, I had to love what I was doing, because there were days where you're so uncomfortable. You're learning these new skills. You're failing constantly over and over and over again. You're up another day for a 6 a.m. workout. You're halfway across the world away from your family. There's so much that you sacrifice and that you struggle through. And I honestly think that's one of the biggest differentiators between those who have and those who won't. Because if you don't love it, you'll never push through all of the adversity you have to push through. Quitting will just sound too good. The best advice that I've ever received came from Lori Rose, Russ Rose's wife. And it was my senior year, just before I was about to go overseas. And she comes over to me and she says, Haleigh, you guys are about to go to the NCAA tournament. And after that, you're graduating and you'll be off. And so I don't know if I'll catch you. So she was like, I just want to say, as you go overseas and play pro, don't quit on the bad days. She's like, you're going to have a lot of them when you're overseas. You're going to be far from home. You're going to be in this new environment. She's like, but don't ever give up when you're having a bad day. And it's that idea of you're going to have so many bad days as you grind for an Olympic spot, as you push to become an NCAA champion. And so don't quit on the bad days, but make sure you love what you're doing, because it will suck everything out of you as you pursue it.
Well, that's great advice. I love that Lori shared that as well. Very
her.
cool.
What a woman.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Lori.
What a duo, right? What a team, those two.
Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Chris and Lori. Yeah. Do you ever have an off season?
No.
Nope.
Never had an off season before.
You're always in it. Yeah.
This has been my first off season. Those 3 months after the Olympics were the first time I've ever had an off season. Because normally the regular flow of a professional year is you're with your national team, usually from May to September, October, depending on what tournaments there are. And then you usually get about 7 days after your national team stint before you have to report to your team overseas. So I would be with national team all summer. I'd take 7 days off basically to just go home and pack, get a visa for Italy, get everything together. And then I'm on a flight out to Italy. And then you're with your Italian team from October, usually until May. And then if you're lucky, you'll get about 7 to 10 days off and then start right back up with the national team. And so it's this year-round cycle of professional team to national team, professional team to national team. And if you don't have national team, usually you get a couple months off in the summertime, which is lovely. And you get like May till July, August off. And then your club team will ask you to report for preseason. And so then you'll do August all the way to May. And then you get May through July, August off, and then you go back again. And it's this circle. So if you don't have a national team, you would get an off season. But I have had national team my whole career. There you
go. Is there going to be more national team?
That is a great question. That is also under an NDA. I can't repeat. My people have me sign an NDA. No, I can't disclose that information at this time.
Okay. That's fun. Haleigh, you're such a great role model, and the advice you're giving to young players. What is it about being a role model that you love?
Being back in America, I've been presented with more opportunities to see the athletes that my performance seems to have impacted. So there was a moment where I was at BYU. I had a chance to talk to one of their middle blockers, BK, and she started crying while talking to me. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, please don't cry. I don't know how to handle this. Please don't do that. And she was just like, you're such an inspiration. And I've like watched you throughout your career. And like that kind of gave me these like shivers, like these goosebumps of like, wow, I really am. Like people actually like are looking up to me and who I am and what I do. And today, as a mundane thing, we were in the locker room and one of my teammates came over and she jokingly like called me mommy and was like, hey, mommy. And I was like, because I used to be the athlete that needed the veteran player, and I'd call them mom. I'd be like, Mom, what are we doing today? What's going on? And those veteran players, the Megan Courtneys, the Dom Gonzalez's, would help me, and they'd be essentially like a mother to me and help me out. And now I'm becoming that, like more of like a mommy than a mother, but so fun loving, but still like veteran-esque. And so I don't feel like I don't feel any different. I don't feel like I'm carrying this weight or this burden or anything. I think it's just more of like seeing life through another lens of like, oh, like people look up to me. And there's a little part of me that's that imposter syndrome of like, oh, I don't have anything good to say. But then someone will ask me a question and I'll actually have an answer. And I'll be like, oh, wait a minute.
Darn.
I do know what to say. Okay, I think I could handle this. And so it's heartwarming above all else. And it's honestly, it's another just like blessing that has been poured on my career. Like I feel so blessed that people look up to me, and also a little worried. Maybe don't do everything I do.
I think you're one of those people that looks at life as a world of possibilities.
Yeah.
I feel like that's who you are. And,
I love that. That's very well said. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. So I heard you say somewhere that you're a go with the flow kind of gal.
Yes, ma'am.
Go with the flow kind of gal. What does that mean?
Yeah. So I remember being in Italy for my first season, and there's a bit of a culture shock when you go from playing collegially to playing professionally, because NCAA athletes were so spoiled because our universities have all this university money. And so we have fancy training rooms and fancy medical equipment, and our schedules are given to us, and we know when we're going to play, and we know when practices, and everything is routine and structured. Nothing changes. And if it does change, we get an like there's just a lot of structure when you play in NCAA volleyball, a lot of resources. And then you go overseas, and all of a sudden you're getting a text in a foreign language at 7 a.m. saying, oh, by the way, practice got moved from this gym to that gym because the other gym needed to do water polo training. And you're like, oh, okay. So now I have to find this new thing. And then your meeting got moved up and you're over here now. Oh, and by the way, don't forget your So lots of stuff just gets thrown at you at random. And if you don't speak the language, then it's tough to stay on top of it. If you're like me and really bad at using your phone and you don't always check your phone, and you're like, oh, we had a meeting that started 20 minutes ago. I guess I should probably get to the gym. Like, you just learn that so much is outside of your control, and things change all the time. And not just in playing overseas, but in life. Like I said earlier, I made that joke, man plans, God laughs. And it's very true. Like,
I like that.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. It's a good one that I hold near and dear to my heart, because things change. Like, circumstances happen. There are things that are just outside of your control, and you can either panic when things change and it doesn't go according to plan, or you can go with the flow. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're waffling over and just letting life walk all over you, but you adjust to a situation. You're presented with a hurdle, an obstacle. You're presented with a change. And you can be frustrated for a bit and stressed, but take a deep breath and you deal with that new situation.
Yeah, I think that's a real healthy way to navigate life.
Yeah, I tried the unhealthy way there for a few years. Can't do it. Can't do it that way.
I don't know if you are aware of this, but the Penn State University has been with the Side Out Foundation and part of Dig Pink. Do you remember being in your Dig Pink games? I remember coming into the a few of those matches when you were playing there, and they have been with us from the very beginning. And Russ Rose got it started. His wife has battled some things, and now we also have Katie, the head coach there now, dealing with it. And Penn State is the number one Division I program that has been with us from the beginning of time. And I think, so whenever I talk to any of you that have been Penn State folks, I'm always so proud of the fact that you guys were a part of that. And I don't know if you can remember some of the stuff that Lori, had she gone through cancer treatments when you were there, or was that after you were there?
I think it was after. I was there.
Because I know that she did then take time to speak to you all, because it's something that we're with the Side Out Foundation, and Dig Pink is all volleyball surrounded in terms of letting people know about the research that we're doing, but also the fundraising that we're doing to help make a difference. And there's so much progress that's been made, and every chance I get to thank one of the players that were there, I thank them for that, and hope that, you're also aware of what it is that we're doing, and, won't forget about the quality research and the stuff that we're doing to help those living with metastatic breast cancer. So if somebody does fall in a place where they need something that we can help with, because that's our focus, we want you to send them our way.
Absolutely. It's, Dig Pink was one of my favorite moments, games, like months at Penn State, because it was a really big deal. And it wasn't just about, we get to wear pink jerseys and pink arm sleeves. Like, it really was about the community, the support, the resources that were provided from the Side Out Foundation. It's very exciting to be here with you guys now. We talk about this great career that I've had, And it's not a career that I have built. It is a career that my community, my support system has built. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of them. I'm grateful for every teammate I've played with. And I'm just grateful that we got to have a nice conversation today, Miss Janice.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I'm glad we figured it out.
Got a little mixy, but I think it's the best. I think the read blocking secrets need to stay secrets. That's what it is.
Okay.
Tune in to Side Out Premium if you really want to hear the read blocking.
Well, thank you, Haleigh. Thank you very much for being here.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.